Yo, what's guys, I'm Fire here back from the video, and today we're going to be bringing you guys the best playbooks updated in Madden 23. Now, this is usually a video I bring, about 3 or 4 times a year. This year I've kind of been slacking a little bit. This is only going to be the second time, so it will be updated though. And let me know if you guys want to see another one in the future. So we're going to begin with offenses. I'm going to do the top 3. Generally, I'll do top 5, but it doesn't really make sense to do that. We'll do top 3. And we're going to begin out with, 3 are really the only popular ones you'll need to know, but we're going to begin out with the Saints. Now, with the Saints, this is probably, I'm going to give it a slight edge. 1 and 2 are really 1A and 1B, but, you got to pick an order. So we're going to go with Saints just because it's a little bit of a personal preference. You're going to start out with the big formation that you'll see, and that's going to be tight offset, tight end. And with this formation, it really has it all. You're going to have your inside zone. It has really good run plays. Inside zone, 0-1 trap. Those will certainly do. Some of the other plays you'll notice, PA shot seams. Of course, we all know about the cheese with that corner route, with that seam route, and just the high ball potential that it creates is really a second to none. And then moving on, you got some other really good plays. I like Saints in a lot. That's a play that I don't see too many people run, but I'm a big fan of it. You have other things like Saints spot shake. You have a nice wheel route in the slot there. Again, another seam route with a really good wheel route as well. Slot outs, that play is solid, gives you an angle route. And then you have things like mesh spot, Saints halfback wheel, good corner out plays, Saints spot. That play is certainly solid. And then bench, which of course is another one of those really cheese plays that you will see. Or not cheese play necessarily, but it's difficult to stop. You have 2 corner routes, and we all know how much corner routes are used. Highballing it over the top, good against man, good against zone. So, just combining those 2 plays, and then you add something like a Y out HB swing. The formation is definitely difficult to stop, and it might be the best formation in the game right now. Now, again, when you're running an offense like a tight offset, tight end, you don't want to be sitting in tight offset. So, of course, the playbook needs to have some other good formations. So moving on, you have Y off trio weak. I don't run this formation, but it's not bad if you want to mix it in. You of course have a bunch that you can go to. Now, bunch this year is interesting. You don't necessarily need to be in a certain playbook for it to be good because most people are really only audibling to run something like verticals. And then you have like a Z spot if you need it, which would really be the only 2 plays you necessarily need in your playbook. Trail, again, that's a solid play as well. So bunch is definitely not bad. It's not the best, but of course it's not bad. Stack Y flex is definitely the formation you kind of want to be in if you're audibling around. And this formation has a lot of the really good plays. Starting out with fade out on the left there, that is going to be your bread and butter passing play. You of course have an inside zone, and then you have some other nice plays like drive H wheel with the corner out, salve and pivot. Again, I've done videos on all these formations that you can find, so make sure you check them out. PA read is definitely another one of those popular plays, and you also have base if you prefer that to inside zone. Y sail, but overall just a really good formation. Now, last but not least, you have a little 5 wide. I know some people who actually run this 5 wide. It's a pretty dang solid formation, this Y Saint. But again, nobody's really running 5 wide like that. As far as these running formations, they're not the best. You have a couple of decent stuff here with the side form close flex, but deuce close if you need it. Good red zone formation. Then you have a wing stack. So overall, let's hop into our second offense though. All right, now hopping into our second formation, we went with the Washington football team. Now with this football team playbook, it's kind of similar where your main formation is going to be tight, but you actually have a little bit of a better bunch. So there's definitely a lot of people who prefer just gun tight to a regular gun bunch. Now, gun tight is also found in the Lions playbook, which is going to be an honorable mention. We're not going to go over it, but Lions playbook is very solid. Same with another playbook. But with gun tight, very, very solid formation. And it really just depends on what you like better. There are, of course, some differences between this and tight offset, tight end we'll discuss. I prefer tight offset, tight end just because I've really been running it since like Madden 17. So I'm just more familiar with it, but tight is very solid as well. And starting out with PA cross, that play is very difficult to stop, especially when they just snap the ball. That corner out is really good. And then you have some other really good man beating routes like that post corner. And then you have a drag to go beneath it. Of course, you have base, which is going to be your run play. And then you have slot out in the middle there. That's going to be kind of your high ball play where you have 2 wheel routes that you can motion out, throw it up if need be. Otherwise, you have a high-low between the post and the drag. Drive corner is going to be kind of your PA seams, PA shot seams. There's nothing really like that play in this formation, but Drive corner is similar to it with you have the corner out. Obviously with the right side, you don't have the play, the best routes that you would like with the seam route and then the wheel route to the other side. But it gets the job done, and if you need that corner route, you can still go to it, which is very nice to have. Some other plays that I like are, of course, bench on the left side, which is going to be pretty much the exact same as the tight offset tight end bench. No real differences. Z spot there in the middle. This play is actually solid. I love that C route from the inside. And then you have a read option, some other decent plays. But overall, tight. Again, these could be considered 1A, 1B, like I mentioned earlier. So you're not really losing if you're running either of these formations, in my eyes. Now, it doesn't really have too good of a secondary formation like a stack wide flex, which would also put it a little bit underneath. But you have a really good gun bunch. You have plays like mesh post, clear out FL in, which can be a cover 3 or cover 4 beater. Bunch trail, which again Saints does not have. You have Z spot as well, and then verticals. So it just has a couple of other better meta plays like a mesh post and like a clear out FL in and bunch trail. You're really adding 3 plays to your arsenal now, and it gives it the edge in my opinion. Trail wide flex, again, that's decent, but nothing else really doing in this section. And again, running the ball wise, no one is really running under center, but you have jumbo if you like it. You have deuce close, which is probably the best deuce close in the game, is the one out of Washington. Some other formations, you have single back bunch tight end, just some other stuff, but it's not doing much for us. Let's go ahead and hop into our third playbook. Now, before we continue with this third playbook, make sure you guys drop a like on this video and you are subscribed to the channel if you guys want more content. It really lets me know that you guys are liking what you're seeing, and it motivates me to continue posting these videos for you guys. So make sure you hit that sub button if you are not subscribed. Now, hopping into our third playbook, it's going to be Colts. Now, I'm going to begin by offering some honorable mentions, and that's going to be Las Vegas in the 4-hole and Detroit in the 5-hole is probably what I would do. So those are going to be my honorable mentions. 4 for U trips and 5 for trips, tight end, bunch, and tight. Really gives you all 3 formations. So those are the honorable mentions. Just not good enough to make the list, but they're certainly good formations. And I know I'm going to get some comments about those, so we'll mention them. Now, our 3-hole is going to be the Indianapolis Colts. This is what a lot of pro players were running, guys like Henry especially. And the main reason is because of this tight slot tap back week, which is a very good formation. We posted a video on this, and it's going to really have everything that you need. The main plays that you want are going to be flood on the right there. You have your inside zone, and then you have bench or bench switch, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe not bench switch, but you have bench, which is good enough. And then you have mesh spot, which is, again, one of those really good plays with 4 verticals. So with Hot Row Master, you can create a lot out of those plays. They don't look like the best stock, but again, check out that Henry video I did. Some other guys run tight slot tap back week, and it's a very good formation. Now, especially when you combine it with bunch offset, you'll generally come out in this bunch offset and then audible the tight just to offer another threat. This bunch offset is going to be very, very good. You have bunch trail in the middle there, double post on the left, and then you have Z spot and go, dig return, flood, curl flat, bench pivot, verticals, and mesh post. It's really just again, another step above the football team bunch. So, Colts is the best bunch, then you have the football team, and then you have the Saints. So in that order, again, it comes down to personal preference, but all these could be considered the best. Really just starts with which type formation you like better. Do you like offset? Do you like general tight? Or do you like slot tap back week? Personally, I like slot tap back week the worst. I just don't think it's as good. I'm just not as comfortable in it. I never have been really super comfortable in it, but maybe I just need to play it more. But that's going to be generally the list. Now, some other formations in this, again, you don't really have too much, like a stack halfback week, which is a formation I actually probably more comfortable in the tight slot type of week. But some decent plays here out of these tight Y offs. Single back, you have again deuce close, which is always just solid to have. Wing slot, wing, some decent stuff there, but no pistols here, no I forms, no strongs or weak, which is definitely interesting, but that's really going to do it for this offensive list. Let's hop into our defensive playbooks now. All right, now we're going to be hopping into our first playbook on defense. No, it's not the New York Giants. It's going to be the 4-6 defense. Now with 4-6, I do think it is better than Kansas City, which you'll find in the 2-hole, spoiler alert. But again, defense is kind of interesting because there's just not as much diversity. There's so much more offensive formations than there is defensive. So You know, it's difficult to make a list because you only have a select number of defensive formations that are really usable, I'll say. Whereas on offense, you can run a lot of different stuff. But defensively, we'll start out in 4-6. To begin, you have three really good defensive formations out of this nickel. And that's going to be the nickel normal right here, which is, again, a personal favorite of mine. You guys see I actually run this a lot in videos because I really love the match coverage in this. And I'm just very comfortable in nickel normal. I've been running it for years, so I kind of have it down. It's a good mix-up of potential pressure and coverage. And, again, just a solid against the run and the pass. So I'll run in general a lot of quarters. Cover 6 is definitely a play I go to, but you just have really everything you need. You can blitz out of it, out of Overstorm Brave if you would like. And, you know, it offers pretty much everything that you would need in a formation. But that's not all. You're going to hop into nickel 3-3. You have your linebacker blitz 0 if you choose. Otherwise, you have some other good match coverages, cover 1s, your basic cover 2s and cover 3s. So, again, nickel 3-3 is good. Generally, what you'll see nowadays is an audible from 3-3 to 3-3 cub or just blitzing out of 3-3, which is certainly an option as well. I haven't really ran 3-3-5 wide or 3-3 cub. I still hate how they changed the name. I haven't ran as much as this formation. You guys see I really have 0 play calls, and that's probably because most of them are audibled because every time I've ran this formation, it's been audibling from 3-3 to 3-3 cub. But, you know, cover 4 is good to have out of this, and you can blitz out of some of these Sam Will Blitz or Mike Blitz 3, which I guess isn't actually there, but Sam Will Blitz 3 is basically the same. Yeah, big nickel over G. Again, I haven't really ran this formation this year at all. I think it's a worse nickel normal, nickel over, so that's my take on it. And then you get to dime. Dime, I've actually seen a little bit of people run this. I did drop a video on one of these blitzes. I think maybe DB Blitz 0 or a variation of that. So it's a solid formation, but then you get to dollar, which is really, you know, kind of what you're doing. And with dollar, you know, you have your DB Fire 2, you have cover 2 man linebacker blitz, which you can kind of loop out of. And then you have, of course, spinner, which is going to be kind of your main play. With some other solid things behind it, like cover 3 cloud show 2, dropped a video on that. There's a lot of other good plays out here that can work, like those cover 3 seams or cover 3 hard flats. So that's going to do it for 4-6, though. Let's hop into our next playbook, which is going to be, once again, spoiler, I said it was the Chiefs already. All right, now hopping into our second playbook. Once again, we mentioned that it was Kansas City. Now with Kansas City, it's a lot of the same as the 4-6. I think it's just a little bit worse for reasons we'll mention. But it's still very good. I know a lot of people that still run Kansas City. I've still ran it a couple of times when I've forgotten to change to 4-6, and it's still very good. Not too much of a difference that would really affect a win or a loss, in my opinion. But starting out, you have nickel over. The biggest difference between these two playbooks is really you just don't have 3-3 wide. So, you know, again, I don't want to really talk through all these again, but it's basically, you know, the same thing. And this is why these defensive videos are tough because, again, you know, out of these playbooks, it's really every formation that people are running nowadays. There's not, you know, I can't go to a crazy formation for like a U-trips. It's just not the same for defense. So, yeah, you have your dollar, you have your nickel over, and this is the reason why I switched it from 5 playbooks to 3, just because defensive, there's no point for me to pull up random playbooks that nobody will ever run, including myself. But again, you have 3-3, you have over. You don't necessarily need 3-3 wide. Again, I don't really run it too much, so Chiefs is still viable in my opinion. You have dime and you have your dollar, so that's pretty much all you would need. And let's go ahead, hop into our last defensive playbook, though. All right, now hop into our last playbook. I just went with Tampa Bay. Again, there's a couple of playbooks usually every year that are pretty good. Those being like Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Miami. Those 3 are usually like, I just remember from past years putting them in my list. So, I'll be honest, I've only ever used Kansas City or 4-6 this year. So, that's my take on it. But we'll go over this because it actually has some formations that I've gone over. And we're going to begin out. You have the double mug, which is pretty solid. This is the 2-4 double mug. I think there's just a normal one. I think this one's a little bit better, but you have cover 1 hole, which you see actually in the beginning of the year. That's a lie. I did run this formation a little bit because I have 133 calls on it. So this formation is always cheese. It's always good. Every year I'm always like, oh, I want to run this the whole year and like build a good zone coverage scheme out of it. But you're just limited because you can't stop the run if you're using a linebacker. And if you use your safety, it kind of gives away that you're running man coverage because no zone coverage scheme would have you using a safety because you can't put the linebackers in outside zone because they're so far inside. You don't want to tell that you're giving away the blitz. So it's just complicated from that standpoint. I know you can, but it would really have to be some kind of a cover 2 shell or cover 4. But really good blitzes out of man coverage. There isn't even a cover 4 out of here, which is pretty stupid. There should be a cover 4. Maybe it's out of the regular double mug, but I don't even know what playbook that's in. But you have cover 3, cover 2. There's actually some ways you can send pressure out of cover 2, which is solid because you have that vert hook, so you can send end pressure. Nickel overload 3 is actually a pretty solid play as well. Linebacker blitz 3 can be good to get pressure out of zone coverage, but overall, definitely a solid formation. You have 2-4-5 odd, which again, every year you'll see a couple of people run this formation. It's definitely solid, just not as good in my opinion as some of the other ones. 3-3 Cub, again, 3-3-5 wide. You got your normal plays. You can blitz, you can run coverage. And then you have 2-4, which is going to be kind of your nickel or over. It's just a little bit worse because it's worse against the run and you can't really blitz out of it. But solid for coverage. You can run your cover 4s and your likes, things like that. You have cover 6, so you can definitely run in your coverage and man out of that. Then you have dime. Now you have 2 different dime formations, which is interesting. Generally, you just have the dime 2-3-6, which this is the same thing as that. Because you have DB fire, but you just don't have spinner out of this particular one, which is very annoying. So it's just a little bit worse of the dollar then. So again, just a little bit worse than the playbooks, which is why it's lower on the list. Then you have dime 1-4, which you can run your other kind of blitzes. Now I actually know a couple blitzes out of this that worked because I did a gameplay I was just playing the game the other day, and some dude hit me with some nice blitzes out of like that cover 3 sky. And there was some other cover 2 blitz that he ran that was definitely getting action. So maybe we'll drop a video out of this 1-4-6 or 1-4 as they changed it too. But these aren't bad. It's just worse than dollar. Keep it 100 with you. And yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. So if you guys enjoyed, once again, drop a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, and peace. I'm out of here.